Look, the dynamic duo.
Hey guys, welcome to the Dynamic Duo. I'm Franz.
I'm Kevin. Welcome back to this version of the Dynamic Duo. It's a special night only version coming to you not from the Batcave and not from Avengers Tower this time, but from the Arctic and the Fortress of Solitude.
There you go. There you go. Kevin, listen, the way I look at it is with great power comes great responsibility. And I think that we have a responsibility to our audience, however big or small the audience may be, to be objective and to be truthful. The reason why this responsibility weighs heavy on me is because I don't want to fall into the trap or the camp of either supporting the people who are either loving or hating this movie because they're in a camp of loving or hating this movie. We have become so divisive and so tribal in our thinking with respect to everything from politics to gender to race to these movies that we're falling into camps. And the camps dictate how we're supposed to think and how we're supposed to feel. And that's wrong. That's a mistake. It's very, very important to maintain your integrity, to maintain your intelligence. And whether or not you're a fan of something doesn't mean you worship it and believe and accept everything that it gives you. Fox News, for example, did a whole series about Superman being terrible because it's woke. And why is it woke? Because Superman was described at one point as being an immigrant and as standing up for justice and kindness. And they did a whole show about uh, kindness and this is a woke thinking. And for those who agree with that point of view, I would ask, really? Like, really? Is that where you want to be? You want to be so indoctrinated into a way of thinking that you are upset by kindness? We don't want to be kind. And if that is who you are, then own it and be that person. And don't pretend to be something else. And so this movie, whether it's the Zack Snyder files who hate this movie simply because it's not Zack Snyder, and no matter what the movie would do, they would hate it. Whether it's the anti woke crowd, whether it's whatever camp that you fall under, it seems like people are just making up their minds, yay or nay, regardless of the evidence that's in front of them, including the pro James Gunn, pro Superman movies. If you're going to love this movie no matter what, that's equally as wrong and as stupid as if you hate it no matter what. It's important to maintain your sense of intelligence and make decisions for yourself. So whatever opinion that we share with you, I will say this: it is ultimately our opinion. You cannot take our word for it. Judge for yourself. Go see this movie. I think it's worthwhile to go see this movie and judge for yourself. If you love it, that's your prerogative. If you hate it, that's also your prerogative. But let it be your prerogative. Let it not be because someone told you yay or nay. I hope that makes sense, Kevin.
Absolutely, partner. Absolutely.
There seems to be a concern that I have with this movie, where when you look at the early reviews on online and social media, it's like again, either you hate or love. And the people that are loving it, it's almost as if they're reading a script. It's almost as if they're repeating what they've been told. Because, and I'm going to raise those concerns when it's my turn to critique the movie. But it's almost as if they're all repeating the same thing, which raises an alarm bell for me. The same thing is true for the haters too, by the way. So, having said all this, Kevin, what did you think of Superman?
I have to tell you, Captain America, James Gunn and Warner Brothers have done the ultimate.
Ooh.
They have broken my heart with
Oh,
Superman. They have broken my heart. I was not impressed the movie was a huge disappointment. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to say, in my humbled opinion, being a DC person, a comics person, a fan of just about everything Superman, and being a movie fan and an amateur filmmaker. This movie does not work. It falls apart at nearly every um, level that it has. Um, and the reason why I say James Gunn has broken my heart, I wanted this to work. Okay? It doesn't. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we are all entitled to our opinions, as my partner has stated so well. This time, it does not work. And the reason why I again say that James Gunn has broken my heart, he was in charge of this production, not only as the director, but he's one of the executive producers of the piece, and he wrote the script. And the thing falls short on every possible line.
I, 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 I have to agree with you. I have to agree with you wholeheartedly. When you saw this movie this morning and you called me and you told me that you saw it, and I said, well, give me your opinion. And you said, are you sure? And I said, give me one word opinion. And your word was garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the danger of that. Typically, when you tell someone that either something is really bad, garbage, or really good, the natural instinct is to look for the opposite. Like, the instinct is, it's not that bad. It's actually pretty good. Like, what is he talking? Because you're looking for, your expectations are so low that, you're looking for something really, really terrible. And typically you don't find it. And so you come out with thinking, it wasn't that bad. Same thing is true if you said, oh, the movie was great. The instinct is to go, well, it wasn't that great. I've seen better. So I was a little bit worried when you said garbage this morning because I'm like, okay, let me make sure that I maintain my objectivity when I go see this movie. Uh, I have to concur. I have to concur. I have to concur that it was a hot mess. Ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, so fair warning, we are going to do a non-spoiler review. But we're going to talk about some of the aspects that you've already seen in the trailers and in the teasers. That way we could give you an idea of what we mean when we say certain things. So fair warning, if you don't want any such input, maybe now is the time to click off because we've already given you our opinion that the movie doesn't work. James Gunn failed from a script point of view, from a directing point of view. I wouldn't say from an acting point of view necessarily, but from a cohesive point of view. The movie is just, in my opinion, and obviously and also in Kevin's opinion, just a hodgepodge of disrespect. The movie, there are certain factors that make a movie or a series good or bad. We were looking at, we need to do a show on Endor because it's just a masterpiece of a TV series. And what makes it a masterpiece is that every inch of that movie is done with a certain care, a certain level of intelligence, and a certain level of delivery. Everything. Not only is the script beautiful, like the wording, if you compare that to episode one, for example, they're trying to do political intrigue in episode one, but it just doesn't sound as right. Whereas when you watch Endor, it's compelling. Like you believe it. So little details like that from the set, the costumes, the performances, everything is coherent and makes sense and brings you along to a certain place. That's not what I found in Superman. I found a disjointed, disorganized, let's just throw it all together. And I didn't find care. I didn't find care. And what's upsetting for me in this movie is it's one thing not to find care, but it's another thing to be disrespected and insulted. And I feel that that's what James Gunn did. I feel that he insulted me as an audience and us as an audience on multiple levels. First of all, I maintained that I hate the disrespect for the change of the costume. Sorry, that's how I feel about it. And but I've always said if you overcome the other stuff, I'll overlook the costume. Well, he didn't overcome the other stuff. And the other way that he disrespected us as an audience, Kevin, is that he didn't bother to tell us a compelling and interesting story. Like, so let me give the audience one example of what I mean by the movie wasn't coherent and it wasn't cohesive. Um, in the trailer, and this is something that we had remarked previously in looking at the trailer. In the trailer, Superman crashes into whatever, the South Pole and Antarctica, and he is really hurt, like so hurt that he can't move, and all he could do is whistle. But he's clearly not far away from the Fortress of Solitude. A Fortress of Solitude that's full of Superman robots, as they are called, but they're completely unaware of that. He whistles, and somehow Crypto, the superdog, hears it, but the robots are completely unaware of what's happening to Superman, who I would imagine their only job is to care for Superman. Crypto comes in and takes this beat up Superman that's bleeding and proceeds to beat him up some more. That just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make me fall in love with the dog. It doesn't make me, it's not coherent, in my opinion. The dog starts to beat up Superman. And Superman says, "Take me home." And the dog proceeds to take him home. How? By dragging him through the ground. Again, someone who's that hurt, that's not the best way, particularly given that the dog could have just called the robots. They could have come with a stretcher. I mean, you know what I mean? And they drag him all the way back to the Fortress of Solitude. The dog opens the door, starts to drag Superman in, and only then are the robots are like, "Hey, what's going on here? Like, let me help you." And when they pick up Superman, Superman says, "Thank you." They proceed to tell Superman about themselves as if they're educating Superman. Superman, clearly, this is his Fortress of Solitude. He's been around these robots. And yet they're telling him, "Oh, no, we don't have feelings. You don't have to thank us." And immediately that statement is contradicted by a robot saying, "Oh my God, he looked at me." Oh, so little things like that. You may, as our audience, think, "Oh, you're nitpicking." But the point I'm trying to make is that it's small. Every little thing that I'm telling you is small, and it could have been overlooked if the rest of the movie didn't continue with the same level of kind of nonsense. And it goes from this nonsense to that nonsense to this nonsense, and it becomes a compelling. This is not good. Like, why is Superman screaming at getting powers from the sun? Why would that be the solution? Like, just yeah. So little things like that. And again, we don't want to give you too many spoilers, but I want to give you an idea of what I mean. That type of thing continues throughout the movie, and it just doesn't work for me. Another thing that I'll say, Kevin, is that nothing about this movie was attractive to me. I didn't like the chemistry between him and Lois at all. Like, the little piece that we saw in the trailer, in the trailers, where she's like interviewing him and he gets annoyed. Well, he gets annoyed. I got annoyed at her. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't like her because it didn't make any sense. If your boyfriend, your lover, your love of your life, okay, you're gonna interview him, but you're gonna interview him in a hard way and ask the tough questions. You don't have to be an asshole about it. You can be like, hey, listen, did you ever think about the consequences of your action? As opposed to grilling him as if you're some sort of reporter. You can get the same answers, but from a compassionate point of view. It doesn't make sense to be grilling your boyfriend that you love, that you trust to be like the best hearted person on the planet, like literally. That doesn't make sense. And so on and so forth. And so I didn't like that, the chemistry. I didn't like Crypto the dog. I thought Crypto the dog was very annoying. I don't know if you agree or disagree. I didn't like the dog at all. I didn't like Mr. Terrific. I didn't like any aspect of the movie. And they tried to be compelling by having this political intrigue. And there's a, and again, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but there are layers. But the layers are like surface layers. Like, they're unintelligent layers. They don't make sense. The motivation isn't really there. And so, and lastly, the action sequences. One of the concerns I have, and forgive me for going on, Kevin, but one of the concerns that I have is that, first of all the Superman movies, they're all repeating, as I said, the same script. They're all repeating the same thing. And I was like, well, wait a second, that's concerning, because why is everyone saying kind of the same thing? And the things that you hear is that it's a comic book page come to life. It's a comic book come to life. Everybody was saying that. And the other thing they say is, oh, it's Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Kevin, I hate to tell you, this movie is nothing like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. How dare you? And the fact that you would reference that movie with this movie tells me that somebody gave you a script and said, repeat after me, Spider-Man 2. Because this movie is not Spider-Man 2, because Spider-Man 2 does the exact opposite of this movie by giving you a coherent story that builds to a crescendo that you fall in love with. This movie does not do that. I am sorry. The motivation is not there. Uh, I could go on and on, but go ahead.
I, for one, partner, thank you for everything you just said. Okay. In addition, I have to say to you, one of the things that did bother me about the film itself, is that all of these comic book movies, whether they be Batman, Captain America, Superman, whatever the film is, they're all supposed to be fun, adventurous,
Yes.
engaging,
Yes.
thought-provoking,
Indeed.
and I could keep going until next week. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, none of that is there. The few action sequences that we get, we've almost seen them all in the trailers.
Literally.
They almost did nothing new or different for the film itself.
Literally, people. What you saw in the trailer is basically what's in the movie from an action point of view.
And as far as the characters being heroic and compelling, not in this case. Superman is supposed to be, by way of storytelling and characterization, he's supposed to be one of the most positive figures in pop culture history. Not this time. He gets his behind whipped from one scene to another. And I am not saying that he can't get hit and knocked down. But, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to consider something. Back in, what was it, 1981, I believe, when, or 1980, when, Superman 2 came out, and he took on the 3 Kryptonian criminals. They fought, and the way that they did it, Superman still held his ground. He still kept his dignity, as it were. He wasn't doing a whole lot of whining. Even when they did hurt him, he was still our Man of Steel.
Indeed.
They need to retitle this film as Paperman, because his portrayal, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, is paper thin. It's not engaging. It's not a good movie.
It's not a good movie. Now, there are a couple of things that we need to say. I have to admit, despite our feelings, and this is a very important thing to say because, we may be wrong. It's just our opinion. I think it's a well thought out opinion, but crazy people don't realize they're crazy. You know what I mean? Because the audience seems to react positively to my audience seemed to react very positively to this movie. I think the thing that you said that is so accurate, Kevin, and so upsetting to me is this is not Superman. Like James Gunn, what are you doing? Like, what are we doing? This is not Superman. So first of all, changing the costume, again, it's a pet peeve of mine that I hate, but it makes him not Superman. It makes him an alternative Superman. Now, it could be a good alternative Superman, but in this case, it's not, because this Superman is emotional. He is somewhat immature.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, he's a Superman who's getting his butt kicked every which way but Sunday. And the character of Superman is missed in this movie. I understand what James Gunn was trying to do. I understand that he tried to have a crescendo. He tried to create these moments of, oh, let me show you how heroic I am. And let me show you how I could overcome even the most dire adversity. I'm about to die, but let me overcome it. He tried to, as I say often in the show, Top Gun Mavericks it. There are a couple of scenes where I could see what it is, but he didn't deliver it. As a director, he didn't deliver that scene. We'll talk about spoilers later on, but the scene where he has that crescendo moment doesn't make sense. It fails, bro. Are you serious? Are you gonna compare this to Spider-Man 2? Come on, baby. Are you serious? Come on, Kevin.
I am very worried about the future of DC's movie universe, because if this is what the audiences are being given, starting out with Suits, God knows what we're going to get for the new Batman, Wonder Woman, and beyond. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, my answer remains no. Give me my kryptonite. Let me lay down and die now.
Kevin, you are so absolutely right. I am right now at a quandary. I'll be honest. I'll tell you my personal feeling. I both want this movie to succeed and I want this movie to fail. I want this movie to succeed because I just hate the haters, and I just want the haters to be wrong. And I think it's stupid to be a hater, and I want them to be wrong. But I want this movie to fail as a hater because the future is at risk. Bro, if you gave this, there's no way James Gunn could do Batman justice. It is impossible for James Gunn to do Batman justice. The only hope we have for Batman is if whoever the director and or writer is could somehow overcome James Gunn and do his own movie, his or her own movie. But if this is it, man, I was so disappointed to see. I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but I was disappointed to see. Okay, let's talk about the characters that we've seen, bro. God, Justice Gang, Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, Hawk Girl, Mister Terrific. It all fell flat, 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 flat. I was excited when you see Hawkman and Black Adams. Bro, I love Hawkman and Black Adams. I love Hawkman and Black. It's cool. The fight scenes are cool, but it's the character's cool. There was none of that, in my opinion. Hawk Girl was barely there and certainly inconsequential in the movie, for crying out loud. So I don't want this movie to succeed because I don't want James Gunn to have a sequel. James Gunn must not have a sequel to Superman and or Supergirl and or whatever else he plans to do, because he's gonna ruin it. He's not Kevin, Kevin, forgive me. But Superman exists. Kevin, he's he's there. Like, we don't have to look for Superman. We don't have to recreate Superman. Ladies and gentlemen, you wanna know Superman? Would you like me to introduce you to Superman? Watch any of the animated series, and you're gonna meet Superman. It's not silly. It's not campy. The animated series are not insulting to your intelligence. This movie continuously, albeit on a minor scale, but continuously insults your intelligence. You know, a Gaiju is about to step on Superman. The Gaiju is the size of a building. What that means is that Superman is to the Gaiju's foot what a needle is to our feet. And somehow the ground is able to hold up the weight. It's not Superman's strength. Superman's strong enough, but he would go right through the Gaiju like a needle. But let's say that somehow he doesn't, because the skin of the Gaiju is strong enough not to penetrate. Let's give that. But the ground certainly isn't, and he would just go right through the ground. Like, don't insult my intelligence, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't understand that, you will not find that in the animated series. You will not find that kind of nonsense in the animated series, because Superman finally gets stepped on into the ground and he swims through the dirt. Well, if he could swim through the dirt or fly through the whatever, however he got through the dirt, that thing would have crushed him in the first place. He would not have been able to maintain the weight of a Gaiju by the weight of the ground. So, Kevin, Superman exists. He's there. There are great animated series that depict the character beautifully. Why are we reinventing this? Why are we reinventing this, Kevin? Why are we reinventing this, Kevin? Why? Why? How dare James Gunn presume to know Superman better than what's been delivered that everybody has accepted and loved? This is what's upsetting to me, and this is why a part of me wants this movie to fail. Forgive me for being a hater. I'm recognizing I'm being a hater, but the reason I'm being a hater is because how dare you? How dare you, James Gunn, be that ridiculous as to take a character that's so beautiful and golden and to essentially ruin him into some nonsense. Oh, forgive me, Kevin. Forgive me.
Let me close my end of this by saying this much. Everybody knows the Fantastic Four is on the horizon. In my opinion, unless they have done the same thing. Matt Shankman, Marvel, and the team and actors that put together the upcoming FF movie have nothing to worry about.
We've had this discussion for quite some time, and we'll close. But we've had that, which movie is going to make the most, and I've always maintained that Superman has a bigger draw than Fantastic Four, and that it depends on the delivery of the movie. And right now, as I said, it's interesting because it has a high score on Rotten Tomato. By the way, I hate Rotten Tomato. I don't think I've ever agreed with Rotten Tomato. That thing is ridiculous. It's stupid. It's just not accurate. But supposedly people love it on Rotten Tomato. It has a 90% scale audience reaction. So right now, I'm agreeing with you that Fantastic Four is likely to do more than Superman. But Kevin, I don't know that they're gonna do Fantastic Four justice. I mean, I must say, everything that I'm seeing from the Fantastic Four, it's funny. In the beginning, everything that I saw from the Fantastic Four was negative, negative, negative. At one point, it became neutral, and now everything that I'm seeing from the Fantastic Four is very positive. It's so positive that it's overcompensating for the negative. So if I wanted my Norin Rad, because I'm a Norin Rad Silver Surfer fan, right now the movie's looking so good to me that I actually don't mind the Shalabal Silver Surfer. I don't mind, things that it was a no deal for me, mustache on Reed Richards and so on and so forth, because everything else is compensating for those things that I personally don't like. Superman was the opposite. Nothing. Not only did it not compensate for the things that I didn't like, it added on to it. It added on to it. So, my friend, two thumbs down, way down for me.
Bury me under the Fortress of Solitude at this point. I'm ready to go.
Well, guys, listen, as we've said many, many times, this is our opinion. And you must not take other people's opinion as your own. You must form your own. So take a look at this movie. Watch it. Of course, now that we've talked about it, your tendency is probably going to go through the movie and be like, it's not so bad. What the hell are they talking about? That's fine. Let us know what you think. On Jesus Barbosa, you've been awesome. I'd love to hear your opinion and other people's opinion as well. And so, yeah, join us next time for the next exciting episode of the Dynamic Duo.
Up, and not quite away.